I remember hearing that the spoon guru that is Derek Sanderson and the steel wizard that is Reid Schwartz were working on a new hook knife design together. I'm pretty sure both of them were hovering above the ground as they were communicating about it. Just too much talent in one room. But it wasn't until Reid was actually talking to me that he wanted to change the original hollow forge design into a solid design that would flex less and be more efficient when carving with it, that I realized that I'm might actually gonna witness greatness, and that's exactly what happened. Reid Schwartz, you see, is one of those old souls, one of these craftsmen incorporating old knowledge into his seek for perfection. Doesn't matter if it's his workflow, his pictures, his setup in his workshop. He always tries to be minimalist, keep the functional lines in his mind, and at the same time, of course, always something attractive seems to come out of it. So the Sanderson hook is one of these just very versatile designs. The asymmetric bend or radius is allowing to rough out spoons and finish them later on with a different part of the blade. Now this hook has somewhat of a curved blade when it comes to the edge, which is just doing for an incredible feel in the wood. But the most amazing part of it, and what makes it seem like it's entering the cut and exiting the cut with a pure closing of your hand, is the near magical execution of the outside domed convex grind. I mean, this knife has quickly, or I want to say instantly, become my favorite one-handed hook knife. And that was difficult. I mean, there was a couple of other knives that I really loved, but the size of this knife combined with this perfect bevel, with the perfect execution of the bend, then you can see right here how I'm using a part further towards my hand that is a little bit of a bigger radius just to carve a flatter part of my spoon bowl. So this knife really has a bevel I've never seen on anything before. It comes down to a perfect zero edge. It is so sharp, it feels so effortless going through wood. Now what's very interesting about this knife as well is that Reid Schwartz is using 1084 carbon steel, which is one of my favorite carbon steels because it's called a eutectoid steel, which means that it is using the carbon very efficiently during the forging process. However, it's definitely not a super steel like ball bearing steel would be, or in axe making 4140. But Reid, as with everything else in his craft, he has just really tried to perfect the heat treat and tempering cycles of this steel. And I must say that I have held a lot of knives and I've carved with a lot of different steels. And every single time I'm using one of Reid's knives, I'm blown away by the edge holding capabilities of his steel treatment, and by the sheer sharpness and fine grain, I would say, that he's able to achieve. Now folks, I gotta be honest, when I heard that it was my turn and I would receive this knife in the mail, I got nervous because I knew I would of course do a presentation for everybody out there to see this knife in hand like I do it with all tools. But when I got the parcel, I held back from opening it. I gotta admit that. Because I knew whatever it was in there, I wouldn't be able to unsee that. So I don't feel like I'm able to do this knife justice with just the footage, with what I'm saying about it, with what I'm saying about Reid. So I procrastinated this video for quite a long time. But you can see the shavings, you can see how it goes through different woods. You're gonna be able to see here as well how it goes through dry birch in a minute. And it's just butter. Like, it's carving radiuses like nobody's business. I've gone too far and too deep on spoons because I didn't want to stop carving. Now, that being said, I also want to say that there is of course a comparison here between Nick Westerman and Reid Schwartz. Both knives are incredible, both makers are incredible, but they're very different. So this knife here is my absolute favorite one-handed knife for peeling cuts and on the spoon mule. But on the spoon mule, it's actually sharing, so to say, a place with Nick Westerman's Tuka Cam because they're very different. And I use them for different types of bowls and spoons. When it comes to cookses and bowls, I definitely prefer the big Tuka Cam by Nick Westerman. Just because of the different type of radius and the symmetry that makes it easier for me to use it on cookses and bowls like the one you're seeing here. I did the finishing cuts on this little Roman saucier that's available, by the way. Just check my Instagram and send me a DM. I did the finishing cuts in the end though with the Reid Schwartz Sanderson hook. So I would really recommend you to get one of each because they're very, very much completing each other. They're different, they're great. When it comes to one-handed carving, the Sanderson hook is definitely my go-to, and I'm so glad that I have it. So don't wait any longer, get just on the waiting list. This is my recommendation. Use the tools you have right now to the extent of what's possible. Keep them sharp, learn as much as you can, and then when the day comes and you get one of Reid's knives, you're gonna know what I was talking about. Cheers. As always, thank you very much for watching, for all the feedback, all the comments, all the emails. I'm trying to get back to everybody. To keep this content coming, head down to the description box, like and subscribe. Check out woodsmansfinest.com, Woodsman's Finest on Instagram and Facebook. And check out my new Patreon page, patreon.com/woodsmansfinest. That allows me to take more time to share more with you.